Welcome to the Deconstructionist Deep Dive.
The show that doesn't just accept the story
We break it, we examine the pieces.
and expose the machinery inside.
Today, we're tearing into a stack of material that really challenges us, to look beyond the slick marketing of perhaps the most talked about technology of our time, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, definitely. Our mission for this deep dive is to critically examine the prevailing narratives around AI,
We're cutting through what our sources just flat out call the noise.
to dissect what they term the architecture of deception. It's pretty strong language.
It is. And the big provocative question we're unpacking from all this material is pretty stark.
What if the rush to embrace AI isn't primarily about intelligence at all? What if it's actually about orchestrating the greatest power and wealth transfer in human history?
Exactly. We're going to explore how this tech is presented, who really benefits, and, what that means for every single one of us. Let's dive in. Okay, so let's unpack this first big claim. When we hear AI, that word intelligence is it's everywhere, right?
It's unavoidable.
Yeah.
But our sources are basically screaming that we need to seriously question what that actually means.
They're calling a whole comparison between human learning and machine learning a kind of a false analogy.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here, maybe even a bit unsettling, is how often intelligence gets mixed up with, basically statistical pattern recognition on an industrial scale. That's the phrase they use.
Right. So the machines aren't really learning strategy like a person does.
Not in the way we understand learning, no. Our sources point to the example of those soccer robots.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading about those.
They look like they were learning, but really they just ran through millions and millions of failures.
Yeah.
Brute force computation.
So just trying stuff until something worked.
Pretty much. It's described not as genuine understanding, but as really sophisticated, high-tech autocomplete.
Okay, so when we see those headlines, the ones like Bard wrote a deeply human tale, our sources are saying that's not real.
Not real understanding, no. They
Yeah.
argue it's not about the AI genuinely understanding human emotions or experiences.
Like a trick of language, almost.
Precisely. And they don't hold back. The material calls it a category error of monumental proportions.
A category error.
Meaning we're putting AI in the wrong box entirely.
Mm-hmm.
They even use terms like reification fallacy, which, for you listening, basically means treating an abstract idea like intelligence as if it's a concrete thing when it just isn't.
Okay.
The AI has zero lived understanding of pain or redemption or, the story behind something like baby shoes.
It just knows the words that usually go together in those contexts.
Exactly. It just has a giant statistical model. It knows which words are likely to follow other words in contexts that humans have labeled tragic or poetic.
So it's like an incredibly convincing mimic, a parrot.
A stochastic parrot. Yeah, that's one term used. Our sources even connect this to the old homunculus argument, but, repackaged for big data.
The little man in the head.
Right. The idea that there's a little person inside our brain doing the thinking, which obviously doesn't explain thinking at all. It's a hollow explanation.
And applying that to AI is just kicking the can down the road.
It explains nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Worse, they argue, it means you're basically surrendering the definition of your own consciousness, your uniquely human experience.
To engineers and investors who are, let's be honest, selling something else entirely.
Exactly. It's a fundamental challenge right from the start to a core assumption many of us just naturally hold about what AI can do.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Because it's not just about the tech specs, is it?
No, not at all.
Our sources reveal there's this powerful, carefully built story being told about AI. They actually label it techno-evangelist propaganda.
Mm-hmm. That's blunt.
And they see it as pushing this idea of the inevitability of the AI-driven future. And, maybe more importantly, as a form of fear-based control.
Absolutely. The material describes this whole narrative as a classic salvation myth. Like the hero's journey, but for algorithms.
Huh. A salvation myth. Okay, break that down.
Well, you see these distinct figures emerging. You've got the oracle, someone like Kai-Fu Lee is given as an example, predicting the future with this air of certainty.
Okay, the prophet.
Then you have the high priests, people like Pichai, Hassabis, delivering their pronouncements from on high.
Got it.
And then there's the promise of a new Jerusalem, this glorious AI-powered world where disease is cured, drudgery is gone, all our problems solved.
Right, the techno-utopia.
And the emotional buttons here are pushed expertly. It's a mix of awe, wow, it summarized the New Testament in 5 seconds, and just plain fear, You'll be left behind if you don't get on board.
So it's not just trying to inform us, it's designed to persuade, maybe even manipulate, to bypass our skepticism.
Precisely. It paints this picture of inevitability, like that phrase, humanity is accelerating into a future that few can predict.
Yeah, you hear that kind of thing all the time.
It's specifically designed to short-circuit critical thinking. The sources even point to those carefully placed human interest stories.
Like what?
Think of those, slightly tear-jerking stories about left-behind kids needing AI tutors, or Sundar Pichai fondly remembering his first rotary phone.
Ah, okay, the relatable stuff.
They call these emotional Trojan horses, designed to slip past your logical defenses, soften you up for the bigger message.
That's quite a framing.
It's what the material calls the technological determinism trap, presenting this human-made set of tools as if it's some unstoppable law of nature.
To stop us from resisting or questioning it politically or socially.
Exactly. They even say it's like manifest destiny all over again, but for code. And that framing, they argue, is the death of our agency.
Manifest destiny for algorithms. Wow, that really paints a picture. So if this is such a carefully crafted narrative, who actually benefits from it?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or maybe $1 trillion.
Our sources are pretty insistent.
Yeah.
We need to follow the money.
And this leads to maybe the most critical question in the whole deep dive. Who truly benefits from this tech determinist story and this relentless AI push?
And the answer, according to the sources.
Unequivocal. Capital. With a capital C. They don't mince words.
Okay.
Kai-Fu Lee's venture capital firm, for instance, is explicitly described as being in the business of manufacturing billionaires.
Right.
This entire AI rollout, the material argues, is less about some kind of pure altruistic progress.
And more about practical business goals?
Much more. It's about creating new markets, definitely. It's about entrenching the power of existing tech oligopolies, Google, Microsoft, the usual suspects, and crucially, automating the workforce to reduce labor costs. They argue it's not really about progress for everyone, but about consolidating wealth and power in fewer hands.
So those predictions we hear, like 40% job displacement, which used to sound like this terrible warning. Our sources are suggesting that's not being presented as a societal catastrophe we need to solve, but something more intentional.
That's exactly right. Our sources claim, quite starkly, it's not a lament, it's a business plan.
Wow, okay.
And it's a business plan designed specifically to stabilize and extend the systems of what Shoshana Zuboff famously called surveillance capitalism.
Where our own experiences become the raw material.
Exactly. Free raw material for data extraction and ultimately control. China's social credit system is even brought up as a sort of chilling but perhaps logical endpoint of this trajectory.
That's sobering.
And it goes further. Any talk about partnership with philosophers and ethicists from figures like Pichai? Dismissed. Called a hollow PR gesture. Just there to preempt real binding regulation.
Like an alignment smokescreen, as they put it.
Precisely. Giving the illusion of ethical concern without any real teeth.
So for you listening, the perspective shifts dramatically, doesn't it?
Yeah, it moves away from just cool new tech to a really clear, maybe unsettling focus on power dynamics, on economic strategy, revealing a system, they say, is designed to centralize power and automate human obedience.
It definitely sounds like many of the basic ideas we're fed about AI are, well, ripe for a much deeper look, to say the least.
Absolutely.
Let's dig into some of those specific claims, like the idea that data is the new oil. That sounds so fundamental now, doesn't it?
It does. It's become a cliche almost. But if we connect this to the bigger picture our sources are painting, we see these recurring patterns in how AI gets framed.
Okay.
That concept, data is the new oil. More data makes better, smarter AI. According to our sources, it's not just a catchy phrase.
It reflects something deeper.
Yes, it mirrors the extractive colonial logic of industrial capitalism. Think about it. Value comes from claiming and processing huge amounts of raw resources.
With very little thought given to where they came from or the ethics involved.
Exactly. Yeah. And philosophically, it's the polar opposite of something like the Taoist principles of Wu Wei, which emphasizes effortless natural action and harmony. This is aggressive resource grabbing applied to data.
And Zuboff's work on surveillance capitalism really lays bare how our human experience becomes that free raw material.
Precisely. It exposes it as this hierarchical fiction, ultimately a mechanism for control. Industrial capitalism's logic, just updated.
Okay, what about the other big one? The idea that AI is this unstoppable force, this sort of digital tsunami that we just have to adapt to. That feels very much like a narrative designed to make us feel powerless.
It absolutely is. And our sources explicitly call that the technological determinism trap.
The trap.
The claim that AI is an inevitable, accelerating force of nature that we must adapt to. It's crafted precisely to shut down dissent, to stifle any real debate about where it should go.
But there are alternatives to that view.
Definitely. Our sources bring in ideas from anarchist social ecology, think Murray Bookchin, arguing that technology is, at its heart, a social product.
Meaning it should serve people, not dominate them.
Exactly. It should be liberating and democratically controlled, not some runaway force. And then there's Langdon Winter's classic question in Do Artifacts Have Politics?
Which reminds us
That technologies aren't neutral. They are built with specific social arrangements and power structures embedded within them. It's about design, human choices, not some inevitable natural law.
we decide what we build and how. We're not just passengers.
We shouldn't be. Anyway, that's the point.
That's a really powerful reframing. Okay, finally, the issue of AI hallucinations. When an AI just makes stuff up.
Yeah, the confident bullshit generator.
Right. It's often downplayed, presented as just a technical bug that'll get fixed soon.
We're working on it.
But our sources suggest it's something much, much deeper than a bug.
Yes. Framing it as just a technical bug is seen as a minimization tactic. Our sources describe it as a fundamental philosophical flaw.
Philosophical? How so?
Well, if you look at it through the lens of something like Platonic idealism, which seeks absolute objective truth, these systems are simply incapable of achieving that.
Because they don't actually know anything.
They can only simulate knowledge. It's all based on probabilistic guesswork, predicting the next most likely word or pixel or note. They don't understand reality.
Okay.
And then if you bring in postmodern critical theory, particularly Baudrillard.
Simulacra and simulation.
Exactly. From that perspective, these hallucinations aren't bugs at all. They are, quote, the ultimate expression of a system dealing in simulacra.
Convincing fakes with no original reference point.
Fakes, built on statistical correlations. Our sources bluntly call it the weaponization of bullshit.
Wow.
So for you listening, these examples really show how seemingly neutral tech terms are just loaded with hidden assumptions and power structures.
This can feel like a lot to absorb, like we're caught in this huge, overwhelming system and the future's already written.
It can feel that way, definitely.
But our sources, they don't just critique and leave us there, do they? They offer a way out, a kind of liberation engine for our own minds.
Absolutely. The material argues that the ultimate deception, the big one, is precisely this idea.
That AI is some autonomous natural force.
Yeah, that this form of AI is an autonomous natural force of progress, and that its benefits are just inevitable, while all the bad stuff, the horrors, are merely challenges we need to manage.
Like bumps in the road to utopia.
Exactly. But our sources state, emphatically, this is not a force of nature.
It's made by people.
It is a set of tools created by specific people in specific companies, funded by specific capital to serve specific interests. It is designed, it is built, it is deployed. It is not an act of God.
Okay. So the consequences we see, the mass layoffs, the increased surveillance, the flood of disinformation, this erosion of reality.
Yeah.
These aren't just unfortunate side effects, not just bugs that the industry will iron out eventually.
The sources say very clearly they are not bugs, they are features.
Features of what?
Features of a system designed to centralize power and automate human obedience. That's the stark claim.
So the liberating alternative, what is it? How do we push back?
For you, the listener, it starts with rejecting this entire frame. Our own minds, with their flawed, beautiful, conscious, and embodied understanding of love, pain, and the world.
They aren't just legacy systems.
Hell no. They're not outdated hardware waiting for an upgrade. We are urged strongly to reject their language. Stop calling it intelligence. Call it what it is, stochastic parroting, statistical regurgitation, or as our sources so wonderfully put it,
bullshit generation.
Exactly. Name it.
It sounds like it's about taking back our agency, almost like burning down this mental prison they're building. That feels pretty rebellious.
It is. Reject the inevitability narrative. The future is not a train on a fixed track. It is a territory to be mapped and claimed.
So the crucial question isn't how we adapt to AI.
No. The question is who decides what we build with it and for whose benefit. Our sources conclude with a powerful reminder. Your mind.
Yeah.
It's the one thing they can never truly own unless you willingly give it to them. Think for yourself. And that's our deep dive for this week.
Remember, the most dangerous illusion is the one you don't know you're in.
But now you know. So here's our question for you. What is the one idea about AI in your future that you're finally ready to put on the chopping block?
Let us know in the comments. Question the narrative. Deconstruct the dogma. See the system.
We'll see you next time. Stay skeptical.